Before we start this show, just a word from our sponsor, 20 by 20 Apparel. Founded in 2015, 20 by 20 Apparel brings original tributes to pro wrestling's classic arenas, moments, and events. They look to spotlight the bloopers, bleeps, and body slams along with the biggest, smallest, strangest, and strongest that pro wrestling has had to offer. Along with their awesome line of pro wrestling apparel, they do offer many services. In the world of wrestling, there are hundreds of shirts, promotions, flyers, social media accounts, and ads. Don't get lost in the sea of parody shirts and display fonts. They can provide professional graphic design services at a reasonable price. 20 by 20 also hand screen prints all the tees in-house. If you would like to discuss possible run of tees, posters, koozies, foam fingers, or whatever, drop them a line. Go to 20 by 20 Apparel. That's the number 20x, the number 20 apparel.com. Now, let's get to the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grindin' shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it tomorrow. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. I tell I'm running out of breath, I tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh, fresh, goddammit, we fresh.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast. I'm your host, Kelly K. Fresh Frazier. And on Fresh is the Word, we like to deliver wisdom through great stories from the minds of bright creatives of pop culture. Through those stories, we like to dissect the journey of our guests and present actionable lessons and advice for our listeners, no matter what career or avenue of artistry they pursue. And before we get into this episode, I want to give a shout out to Knox Money, Bang Belushi, and Foulmouth for the theme music for Fresh is the Word. And if you would like to support the podcast, you can always go to freshasthepodcast.com and just share any of the links for any of the episodes on any of your social media platforms. And also, you can subscribe to Fresh is the Word pretty much anywhere that podcasts are streamed. And that includes Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, pretty much everywhere. And please rate and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. It will definitely help out the show. If you want to contact me, you can always reach me by email at djkfresh@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at KFresh is the word, and on Facebook at facebook.com/KFresh. And you can also follow Fresh is the Word on Twitter at Fresh is the Word, and that's is with an IZ, Instagram at Fresh is the Word Podcast, and Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. And this is episode 164. The guests for this episode are comic book illustrator and artist Lisa Sterle and writer Matthew Erman. This husband and wife duo are co-creators of the series Long Lost, which has recently been optioned by writer Jenny Klein for development into a TV show. Sterle is also co-creator of the comic series Submerged with writer Vida Ayala, along with developing the Modern Witch Tarot Deck, a modern interpretation of the classic Rider-Waite Tarot Deck. Sterle's beautiful illustrations have been used for companies like Vault Comics, IDW, Boom Studio, and many others. Currently, Erman is working on an original graphic novel coming out in 2020 called Bonding, along with artist Emily Pearson, coming out through Vault Comics Young Adults Imprint Myriad. Also coming later this year via IDW is Care Bears, Unlock the Magic series, written by Erman, along with Nadia Shamas and with art from Agnes Garbuska. During our chat, we talked about the creation of Long Lost and the opportunities it created for them both, their goals on project, Submerge, their upcoming projects, how they both deal with being a married couple that are both comic creators, the facets of collaboration, and much more. And before we get into this interview with Lisa Sterle and Matthew Erman, I definitely want to remind you how you can support Fresh is the Word. I'm on Patreon now at patreon.com/Fresh is the Word. And for as little as $1 per month, you can help out Fresh is the Word. And for the $3 a month tier, you will have access to the Patreon-only exclusive episodes that will be a deep dive into my audio archives of interviews that I've done outside Fresh is the Word from the past decade or so for various publications. Some I never even used. So go to patreon.com/Fresh is the Word to sign up and help out Fresh is the Word and help out me. And check out all the tiers because there's some other tiers in which you can actually be a part of the podcast. Go to patreon.com/Fresh is the Word. All right, let's get on to this interview with Lisa Sterle and Matthew Erman. Yeah, thanks for taking the time out to chat with me.
Yeah, no problem at all.
It is our pleasure.
You two seem very upbeat today.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess so, yeah.
I guess I had a good productive day. So feeling pretty good.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I had a nice productive day also, and I didn't even have to get dressed.
I can relate to that. I don't have to get dressed any day since I work at home.
That is a
it's
dream.
Great.
It's a total dream.
That is my new goal in life to be able to not have to dress as often as possible.
Yep.
I saw you interview Danny Trejo, dude. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was cool talking with him.
I bet. He seems like literally one of the most interesting people on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
He really is, and he's like so positive and like upbeat, like and he's just always funny, you know. He always has a good sense of humor.
So proud.
Thank you. Yeah, I first met both of you. I think was it at Motor City Comic Con last year?
No, it was probably Wizard World.
Yes, it was Wizard World Columbus. See, and I know you probably do the same thing. You just get these conventions all mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there will be times that I like run into people at conventions and I'm like, I've met you, but I don't remember where. One of these cons, I'm sure. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah, because some of these, when you're inside the con, it all looks the same in comparison to the other ones.
Yep, it's always in a convention center with terrible lighting.
Yep.
Right, so it all just looks the same in my mind right now. I'm like, was that there or there? But yeah, I remember picking up the whole first book of Long Lost.
Yeah, thank you again for supporting us.
Yeah, definitely, I loved it, and you know, it was a good story. It was, you know, I loved the art in it, so it was, you know, really great. You guys went, eventually did book 2 of that, which I still need to finish because, like I told Lisa in my email, like I never got around to getting number 4. I just kind of missed out on it at my comic book store somehow. So she sent me a PDF of it, so I can now finish it, and then I'll eventually get the print whenever I can find it. But what's been you know, being that was my introduction to both of you, like what's been the feedback after, you know, since everything has gone through with this book already?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start. I think that it's kind of hard to quantify actually. Long Lost was to me, it felt like such a long shot of a thing. It's weird. It's not. I don't know if it still fits in with, you know, stuff that sits on the shelf even now. And
yeah, I don't think it's written in the same way as a lot of monthly comics are written. It's got a definitely a different approach to pacing.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for all the people that stuck around for our weird, meandering horror story.
Yeah, but as far as like how things have been since it came out, I think I think for both of us, we have a comic career now, and I think that's like that's the biggest thing. It's like before we put out Long Lost and before people had read it and stuff, like we were way more unknown than we are now, which is to say that we are still very much unknowns in the grand scheme of things, but we have careers now, which is like really incredible.
I mean, Long Lost, honestly, through publishing those issues and going to conventions and getting our work out there, I've met so many amazing people in the comics community, and Long Lost was the reason that I managed to actually finally quit my day job and go full-time freelance, which has been incredible. And
Congrats.
we also have it was optioned for television.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can't share any more details as to what's going on with that right now, but hopefully
more
at
to
some
come.
point we'll have more news on that front, which is really crazy and exciting. For a small indie book from two absolutely unknown creators, I was really proud of what we did, and also that it seemed to resonate with some people. And that's all you can really ask for, is that people respond to it.
100%. That is literally all you can ask for, is that people respond to the thing that you put out into the world. And luckily we've been very lucky in that regard. So it's been really cool. It's been really, 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 really cool.
Yes.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure. There was no I realized we were just talking and I didn't know if we had officially begun. So excellent, wonderful.
When you were going into doing Long Lost, like this book, became, like you said, gave you more of a comics career. What were you guys setting out in the beginning to do? Because it was like your in sort of a music metaphor, like your demo tape. It was like it ended up being like sort of your calling card to what both of you could do, if you have like your own freedom to do something. So what were you guys doing? Like, what were you guys setting out to do when you first created it?
Honestly, it was, to be totally brutally honest, it was kind of a last ditch effort.
Yeah.
It was we had experimented in comics before. We'd both been creating art in one way or another in different forms, me with illustration and graphic design, and Matt with writing, like novels and short stories and whatnot. And it started in a really organic, strange place, which was just like, we were just in the middle of the woods camping one night and kind of birthed this weird horror story concept and realized that comics would be the best way to tell that story. And we both were like, this is the first opportunity that we've had to really work together on something that we're both really excited about, because I think we kind of both created that idea alongside each other. So we were like, okay, a comic is what it has to be. And neither of us had a ton of experience working in that format, we had
no experience, really.
Other than like a short comic from like 10 years ago, like an 8-pager that we did together. But so this was our first like serious, like, let's make this comic. But we honestly I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. I wasn't either. Yeah, we were both just like, well, what's the harm in just doing some pitch pages and trying, and if it fails, then we'll move on to other things. And it didn't. And Scout wanted to pick it up, Scout Comics, and
they wanted to pick it up as a monthly too. We had originally pitched it as a graphic novel.
Yeah, we had originally pitched it as a graphic novel. They convinced us to do a monthly, which I was nervous about because I was like, oh god, monthly deadlines. But we made it work, and we were pretty much on. We were mostly on time with all the issues dropping.
Yeah, you never missed a deadline.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Neither did I.
No, not you. I'm just talking about,
the production side of things.
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes with diamonds, things can go out a little bit later than you would hope, but
Right.
that is neither here nor there. But yeah. So lost the thread of what I was saying.
Oh no, it's fine. I just before Long Lost, I think we were each doing our own things, and
We were in our early 20s, mid 20s, struggling, trying to figure out our correct path for our creative endeavors, and comics just kind of presented itself, and we fell into it so naturally that I'm so glad that we submitted that pitch
yeah,
and got that publishing deal and just went for it. And also thank you so much to Scout Comics for allowing us to do 12 issues right off the bat as complete unknowns. That was an incredible opportunity.
it's really outrageous, the entire situation that we kind of fell into. And I really want to emphasize that we fell into this situation.
Hey, we worked hard.
We did work hard. We did work very hard.
We worked very hard.
And yeah, I think you actually really kind of hit the nail on the head in that this definitely is very much a demo of what we wanted to put out into the world. I think this was a really good introductory thesis as to far as kind of the stories that I want to write,
And the stories that I want to draw.
and the stories that Lisa wants to draw.
We were both kind of testing the waters and kind of figuring out our capabilities and starting to stretch and experiment and
And there was a really it's been really great to know that there's an audience for the things that resonate with you as a creator. And when I set out to write Long Lost and the kind of story that I wanted to tell, it's not traditional. I know I said that before, but it's really not traditional. And Scout, to their credit, really let us do the story that we wanted to do.
100%.
It's great. I'm working with editors now, and they're making my work better. But with Long Lost, I can say almost with full confidence that is 100% Matt Erman and 100% Lisa Sterle, kind of unfiltered in a
very raw, unfiltered demo tape.
Unfiltered demo tape from Matt and Lisa.
Not produced at all.
No.
What is it about Long Lost that you feel resonated with the readers?
Piper and Francis.
Yeah. I think those two characters are they're really special to me. They're based off of a lot of kind of the things that I know and love about people that I've interacted with and people that I know, and things that I know about myself and Lisa. So it comes from a very warm place. I love both of those characters so much, and I think they resonated. I hope they resonated with people, and I think that their journey and kind of how they struggled to find themselves and find who they are as characters is what made Long Lost special for people, and special for me too. I think that's
I think also the theme of returning to your hometown. I think it's something that a lot of people our age can relate to as well, of having that less than idealized version of home, and going back to a place where there might be a lot of people who you don't agree with, or you feel like you no longer can relate to,
or are alien to you.
or honestly seem alien to you because of who you've become and who you are. And I think that part resonated a lot with people as well.
Lisa, when you were doing the art for Long Lost, what sort of feeling and mood were you trying to invoke?
I definitely wanted it to be kind of ominous, unsettling, maybe with a kind of tinge of nostalgia. The colors that I chose by doing kind of this, warm grayscale, desaturated, monochromes. I wanted I wanted it to have this dream-like kind of quality to it. Yeah, I wanted the book to feel kind of like you were peering through someone else's memories.
That's a really good answer. I think no, that's like I think that's perfect. I think that when I wrote it, and Lisa and I mean, we lived together, we're married, so like we talked about it almost every single day when we were working on it, and we really, really, really worked together to figure out the tone of what the book was. I think it's, there's one thing to like sit down and write it, and there's one thing to sit down and draw it. But I think when you have a lot of trust with your creative team, as Lisa and I both have a lot of trust with each other,
Mm-hmm.
I think we were able to kind of push each other to really hit those kind of weird, esoteric, hard to define feelings that I think the book kind of lives in, of dream and nostalgia and longing and all those really big feelings that everyone feels but are kind of hard to articulate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well put.
Thanks.
Yeah, one of the main reasons why I picked up that first series of books from you guys is when I looked at the art, I loved it. I love your style of artwork, Lisa. And when I, see the other things that you do, I just continue to love your style. When you're going into doing these projects, whether it is Long Lost or anything else that you've worked on, sort of what is your goal as the artist, and how do you work with everybody else on the team?
I definitely, with each new project that I have, I go through this experimental phase before I even start like pages or pencils or inks, of just kind of stylistically testing the waters, because like I love the look of Long Lost. I love the way that I drew those characters and the style of it. But I think with each new comic that I do, I want to continue improving and growing and kind of expanding on my foundations. So with each new book, I really try and challenge myself to try new things, to try new methods, as far as like even something as small as like changing my inking brush is something that I think about and test out constantly. Like I'll probably spend a full day just testing out different inking styles to figure out like, is this the one that really fits the tone of this project and the style that I'm trying to draw in? Is this brush too thin or is it too thick to get the amount of detail that I want? Does it have that perfect gestural quality that I'm looking for? I'm always trying to like strive for this style that is like gestural and expressive, but also has, the anatomical perfections, and it looks good and it looks right and it looks real. And with comics, it's such a balancing act between that perfectionism that I feel like many artists have, and then also time, because you can't spend 8 hours on every single panel. So you have to figure out how to balance. Like, I heard there's this quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it was something along the lines of, like, the key to comics art is making the reader think that you've drawn everything. And I think finding that balance between detail and rendering and expressionism is kind of the thing that I think about the most when it comes to making comic art. It's a challenge, but I love it. So...
Yeah, another project that you were on, Lisa, was Submerged, and I really loved that book. I had Vita on the podcast before, and one of the things I loved about that book was that it reminded me of the time when I was out in New York, and I got stuck in New York for an extra day because of Hurricane Irene, and I felt like that book really captured what New York feels like when when a storm is about to happen. What was your experience doing that book, and how did you sort of invoke that sort of feeling that the book was that Vito was trying to make with the story.
It's funny that you say that because I am 99% positive that Hurricane Irene was part of Vita's inspiration for that,
Yeah, I
for
think
this
so.
Submerged story. Yeah. So yeah, they had that particular experience just like walking around New York City when there's just like this impending horrible giant storm about to happen. Working on that book was a really fun like challenge in both like creating this real setting that is based on this very real thing that so many people are so like intimately familiar with, which is New York City and its subway systems and its streets, and you want to have enough character there so it feels like a real place, but then also layering on top of that this bizarre mythology, these monsters, these creatures, these like illusions. And Vita honestly really helped me so much in kind of figuring out the correct visual language, because they like the two of us would send images back and forth of like inspiration, like talk about things that we loved, like Silent Hill 2 and like House of Leaves, and from that I think we both came to an understanding of like what the aesthetic and the visual feel should be. It's kind of this blend of like almost like medieval Greco-Roman patterns and textures and like styling of costuming on top of like a very real like gritty New York City. And yeah, it was a really fun project, and I love like blending these two things. I loved working on it. It was a fun challenge. I really got to stretch as far as layout and paneling, which is one thing that I'm always constantly trying to challenge myself on. And yeah, it was great. Loved it.
It's a great book. I had nothing to do with it, but I've read it and I loved it.
A lot of your work, Lisa, color wise, is very much vivid colors of both bright and dark colors. Where did that sort of style come from?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it's funny because I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I feel like when I look at my work, and maybe this is me being hypercritical of myself, is I don't see at least color-wise, a similarity between a lot of the things that I do. I think I have some tendencies like gemstones and high contrast, but yeah, my color influences are hard to define. I kind of just approach each piece with kind of a few starting colors and build from there. But as far as like working within a library of, set guidelines or rules, I don't really do that. Each piece just kind of, I don't know. It just turns out the way it does. So
No,
I guess in short, it comes from intuition. I don't think I can really define that many people or artists that have influenced me color wise, because there's just too many to count. I guess I've just all soaked it in. I guess maybe Suspiria. If I had to name one thing that I think has been the biggest color inspiration, it would be the Italian horror film Suspiria. So
Nice. So with, Long Lost, opening up these doors for both of you, what are some of the projects that you are working on now, or are coming out in the future? What's going on with both of you?
you can go first.
Okay, so since Long Lost, I've got honestly a lot that's happened. It's been honest, like it's crazy, but so the first thing, and I think this is the thing that's coming out most soon, upcoming is that I am the writer for Care Bears, the new Care Bears comic.
Nice.
It's through IDW. My co-writer is Nadia Shamus, who is incredibly talented. She is she edited and created the Corpus anthology, which I was a part of, and she has a new graphic novel coming out through, I think, HarperCollins called Squire, which I'm very excited about. But we're both writing Care Bears together. I was very fortunate to kind of get in the good graces with IDW, and they offered me the opportunity to pitch for Care Bears, and I asked Nadia if she wanted to be a part of that, and she said yes. I think almost out of just a morbid sense of curiosity. And now we're doing it. They liked our pitch, and we're writing it. I'm literally writing it like not as we talk, but that would be very rude of me. But
or impressive multitasking.
Dude, that would be impressive if you were like here, like, this Care Bears, blah blah blah. Like,
no, but I'm actually writing it. I've been writing it the past couple weeks now, and it's a really cool challenge. I don't even know how to comprehend going from Long Lost to Care Bears. But
that is a difference.
It's weird. I never would have guessed that this would be my life. But we have 3 issues that we're writing. The first one comes out in July. The incredible Agnes. I'm gonna butcher her last name. But Agnes, I'm not even gonna say it. Agnes, and I will. Actually, I'm gonna look it up. If you bear with me while I continue to talk, I'm gonna make sure that I pronounce her last name correctly. Garbowska. Agnes Garbowska is our artist. She's incredible. She's done a lot of work for IDW. She's done work for the My Little Pony comic that they did. And I'm honestly very honored that she's doing this book with us. It's really elevating the Care Bears story that Nadia and I are writing. After Care Bears, I have Bonding, which is through Vault's young adult imprint, Myriad Comics. That's honestly, I would say if I had to say, that's my follow-up to Long Lost.
Spiritual successor.
It's definitely much more in line with what people know of Long Lost and know of my work so far. So Bonding comes out in 2020, I think February, March timeframe. And Bonding is a romance, sci-fi horror comic about a man and a woman, Marcus and Laura, who are falling in love. They are kind of going through the throes of an early relationship, but it is in a world that has been conquered by alien slugs that attach to the fronts of everyone's chests and suck their life force out of them very slowly. But everyone's kind of used to it, and everyone's kind of okay with it. So it'll be fine. So yeah, those are my 2 projects. I have some unannounced stuff that I'm working on. I have something that I think we'll be announcing later this year that I'm really, really excited about. I think it's going to blow people's minds that I'm doing this. So
I know it is.
Lisa knows what it is. She's not supposed to know what it is. It's very illegal that she knows what it is. But it's fine. She's my wife, so
right.
She has to know how I'm making money.
That's true.
So that's getting announced, I think, this year, and then I have another thing that may or may not be getting announced this year as well. So, yeah, it's been crazy. Long Lost changed my life, and the comics community and the comics industry has changed my life. I'm over the moon. Couldn't be happier.
Oh, and for my stuff, yeah, I have the most current thing coming out is I will be doing a Glow one-shot, The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, coming out in July, I believe July 10th, maybe 10th or 17th it'll be out. Devin Grayson is writing that. It's a really fun, amazing story. I love Netflix's Glow. I love all the characters, Zoya, Liberty Bell, and it was the most fun comic to work on, doing all these insane wrestling poses. It was such a challenge, but I loved every second of it. It's glorious. So I highly recommend that one. And then, oh yes, I did a Steven Universe graphic novel, Camp Pining Play, which just came out in April. So you can get that. It's a graphic novel at your local bookstore. And then coming out in fall, I'm going to be a part of 2 different anthologies. I think they're both releasing in October. I'm doing I did the cover and the interstitial pages to the Deadbeats anthology by A Wave Blue World.
I'm in that too.
Oh yeah, you're in that as well. You have a story with Sally Cantorino.
Yeah, I'm doing a story with Sally Cantorino, and really excited about that.
Yeah, I got my pledge in on that.
Perfect.
Dude,
it's great to hear. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm so pumped for everyone to see it. The Kickstarter for that just wrapped, but it'll be out in October. And then I'm also going to be doing the Iron Circus's You Died anthology with I have a story with Nadia Shamus as well. We've both collaborated with her. She's great. I believe the Kickstarter for that, I'm not sure when that'll be going live, but I know it'll be out. The book will be out in October. And my tarot deck. I also have a tarot deck coming out, the Modern Witch tarot deck. I'm doing a special limited edition deck, which comes with a lot of crazy stuff that I've made. A silk scarf, an enamel pin, a iron-on patch, a crazy gold tin box that it all comes in. It's going to be nuts. That is available for pre-order now. And I think that's it.
Where is it for pre-order?
Oh, sorry, at liminal11.com. liminal11.com. So, yeah, that's what we're working on at the moment.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of good stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of stuff in the works. Yeah, I'm excited to see it all. What, as 2 creatives like yourself and you're married, how do you sort of get away from creating? Is there any other time when you just kind of step away from it all and just sort of recharge your batteries either individually or together?
We generally have like a soft rule, which is after 8 p.m., we are not allowed to talk about comics or work. And that is the time that we step away from our creative endeavors and just enjoy each other's company, because otherwise it can have a tendency to consume just all conversation.
Well, because it's like it's like living with your best friend that you get to see every day at like a convention. Like you ended up it's like really what it is.
We can talk about comics drama. We can talk about Twitter drama.
So much that we can just talk about in regards to the comic book industry, the work that we're creating, the stresses, the anxieties, the pressures, everything about it. We have that as a thing to talk about almost always. There's always something happening.
Yeah.
And so I think for us as a couple, that I think as much as I am so honored to be able to, and so happy to be in a relationship with a comic book artist, and I as a comic book writer, it's there for us to have a healthy relationship. I think we set boundaries to make sure that we remember that although we love being a part of the comics community and creating comics, that it doesn't consume all of our time, or it doesn't define us as the only thing that we are doing with our lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for like anyone.
We have other hobbies and interests that aren't comics.
I play video games, and Lisa does other more productive things. But no, it's about finding a balance and about finding those boundaries that you both agree on and sticking to them, and understanding why they're there, and understanding how they help cultivate a healthy relationship, not only with each other, but like with the industry at large.
Yeah, because if you spend all day and all night thinking and talking about it, it can get pretty exhausting.
Yeah, you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah, we're actually trying a new technique, a new experiment recently where I haven't read some of his scripts for his most recent projects because I usually, we like to share our in-progress work with each other.
Mhm.
We've decided to wait till we get to read each other's finished products.
It's really fun.
So
I really like it.
yeah, so whenever, bonding is out, it'll be a complete surprise and I'll have had no sneak peeks and I have no idea what it's about, like the finer points. It's honestly pretty exciting, so I think it'll work. So
That's nice. I love sometimes when the way that comic book creators will like describe themselves. And I was looking on your Twitter, Lisa, and it says that you're a sleepy biplant witch. Like, what the hell does that mean?
Okay. So, the sleepy part, I like to take a lot of naps. Like, honestly,
It's accurate.
okay, hold on for a second, because, I feel like this is advice that I can give to a lot of freelance creators.
Oh, yeah.
Because burnout is a real thing, and if you are the kind of person that has a hard time saying no, you might find yourself overloaded with way too much work and not enough time in the day. So my rule for myself, and I'm not saying this will work for everybody, but it might work for some people, is I always try and make sure that no matter how much work I have to do, I at least give myself enough time in the day to take like a 30-minute nap in the middle of the day.
Yes.
And it is so refreshing, and it makes me feel very healthy.
I love naps.
And that it's honestly the thing that I look forward to, like, in my mornings. Like, it'll motivate me where I'm like, okay, I have to do, 5 more hours of work, and then I can take a nap. And it is very great. So that's the sleepy part. I'm bisexual, so that's the other part, and other parts. I have a crap ton of house plants.
True.
So that is the plant witch part. Not recently, I guess it's been a few years now, but I used to think I didn't have a green thumb until I started, like, experimenting with houseplants. Like, one by one, I'd keep one alive for, like, a couple months, and I'd be like, okay, he's still alive, I deserve another one. And it just kind of, my collection started to grow as I learned how to actually take care of them. And now I have a house full of plants, and I've actually recently just started delving out into the yard, and I just started a garden this year for the first time. And it's, yeah, so I like to think of myself as a bit of a plant witch. It is a hobby that I love and enjoy. So that is my explanation for the sleepy by plant witch part of my Twitter description.
That's fantastic. This question is for both of you. Like, now that you're past this long lost book, and you're getting these opportunities to work on these other sort of projects, what's sort of your method of collaboration with everybody else in the team for the specific projects?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm probably that's a great question. So I have a pretty particular philosophy on the role of a writer in the creative, collaborative space that is making a comic book. And I think there's two very unique kind of types of comics that a writer is going to be making. So, like, you can do something like Care Bears, and you're typically going to be working with an editor, and the editor communicates with the IP holder, and there's like you're there to do a very specific job, which is to write the comic book. You write it, you edit it, you take the notes, you make it good. And and that's basically the role that you inhabit. But for the creator-owned stuff that I'm working on, Bonding in particular, and Long Lost to a certain degree, I think the writer and the role that I like to inhabit is, I like to be an advocate for the team. I think that as a writer, the job that we do takes the least amount of time. In comparison to illustrating the art or drawing the comic, coloring it, dropping in all the speech bubbles, dropping in the text, like all of that stuff takes a long time compared to sitting down and writing a script. And I think when you have the opportunity of time on your side as a writer, you should be spending your time making sure that everyone gets paid and making sure that you're being both an advocate for your team, but you're an advocate for your book. You're out there, making sure that the right people know that it's being made. You're doing the press when you have the opportunity, obviously. And I think the job as a writer is both to write the comic and make the ideas happen, but to also be a support system for the rest of the team, because that's important. I think as a writer, you owe it to the people that are going about their day creating your ideas. And the least that you can do is make sure you're advocating for them and making sure that they're getting everything that they need to make the best thing that they can possibly make.
Yeah, and for me, the way that I like to work with a team is definitely very collaborative. I'm someone who seeks out critiques and feedback frequently if I can. So I love when the writer or the colorist is like super willing and available to just be like, I can just send them a screenshot of something in progress and be like, what do you think of this weird layout I did? Like, does it work for you? Because I like including everybody. I don't like feeling like I'm working alone because because it is a team, it's a team project. It's a thing you do not alone. So I like any excuse that I can get to involve the other creators in my part of the process. I don't like harsh delineations between you do this step, you do this step, you do this step. I like being either a person that someone can ask what my opinion is on a thing, or that I can ask someone else what they think of what I'm doing. Because I think we can all grow and become stronger and better creators that way. Yeah, that is my ideal approach. It's a very collaborative back and forth method.
Yeah.
Throughout the process.
I also I try to push my artists to be as much of themselves as they can possibly be when they're working with me. With Bonding, Bonding is actually co-created by the incredible and incredibly talented Emily Pearson, who did Black Mask's The Wilds and also Snap Flash Hustle with Pat Shand, and The Wilds was with Vita. And I really think that it's important when you're creating something that you own and that is a creator-owned project like Bonding or with Long Lost or whatever it is, that you push yourself to put as much of your fingerprint on it as possible. And working with Emily and working with Lisa and working with some of the other artists that I've worked with on creator-owned stuff, I try to advocate for that, and I try to push and challenge my artists to experiment and really create art that represents who they are. I'm really not picky when it comes to the things that get drawn in my book. My scripts are really light these days. They are very interpretive, and I think that's because I love the idea of an artist taking something that I've written and imagining it as something that they want to draw. And the great and beautiful thing about that is it's so often and so incredibly far from what happens in my mind that it's exciting to read for me. I get to write my comic, and then I get to read it for the first time as if it's a new thing to me, which is incredible. And it is a honest to God, it's really incredible that gets to happen. And I think that's because I really like when artists, and I do weird, cool things, and I want to do weird, cool things. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Kind of extending on what you both were just talking about, you know, I've been talking a lot recently in regards to the idea of collaboration over competition. And what I sort of always, been noticing with the creator-owned community in comics is that even when people are not necessarily working together, they're very supportive of each other. How important is that, from your guys' perspective?
Oh, it's so important. I think there's a mindset in the creative industry that it is cutthroat and that there is only a certain amount of pie that everyone can get before it is all gone. But the beautiful thing that I think has happened in the comics community, at least in the segment that I'm a part of, it's a huge group of people, and it's a huge community. But the people that we've managed to find and surround ourselves with, and that we feel some camaraderie with, I think everyone understands that there's no pie. It doesn't exist.
You create your own opportunities.
You create your own opportunities,
Yeah.
and you're not taking away from anyone else.
Nope.
I think there's so much content that people want to consume in this day and age that if you have a good idea and if you can execute on it, there's a very good likelihood that it'll happen if you can do it. And I think that's an understanding in the comics community, and I think that's why we're all so supportive of each other. It's because when there's work being picked up by creators, that just means that there's work that needs, it's like when one person's getting work, you can safely say that more people will get work that follows.
I also feel like the approach that I try and take, a lot of times it really does feel like an antidote to like professional jealousy.
Yeah.
Like if you set a goal in mind and you make it a part of your day and your life to support your artist friends and your creator friends and your writer friends, then that negative feeling of like, I wish I was getting this thing seems less important because you're seeing all of your friends succeed in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, all you can really, kind of the way that I look at it is just like the only person that I should be competing with is myself and the past me. I should only be trying to be better than the artist that I was a couple months ago. And that's the only thing that I should be focusing on. And so it leaves me time and like the emotional space to really support the creators that I admire and the creators that I like and the creators that I'm friends with. And yeah, I don't think comics is as small as some people think it is. Mm-hmm. And I think there is enough room for whoever wants to find some success. And yeah.
And yeah, yes. I think that the other thing too is that success is a big word, and I think a large part of feeling like you're in a community or you're supporting someone or you're getting support is that I think if you feel good with where you're at in whatever it is, I think success is I actually don't know what I was trying to say with that, but I
kind of get what you're saying. There's a lot of different meanings to the word success, depending on what your goals are. There might be some people that are like, they're doing one thing and we're like, all right, I want to put out at least one comic book in my lifetime. If I do that, cool. And if it happens, they feel like they're successful with that.
And that's incredible, and that's beautiful, and I think that should be supported, and I think that they should, and they are entitled to feel success because of that, regardless of what happens around them with their peers, with anything else. I think success is a very subjective thing, and you shouldn't let the definition of other people cloud how you feel about what you managed to achieve in the short time that we're all here on Earth.
Yes.
When you both sort of look back to, your lives and your careers, whatever you've been doing, if there was anybody listening to this podcast that it doesn't matter what sort of avenue of artistry or industry that they're in, there was like a nugget of knowledge that they could sort of project into their own lives from what you've experienced, what would that be?
I would say, and this is a very, actually, no, I don't think it's just applicable to visual artists, but I spent a lot of my college years and then after that agonizing about finding my style, my voice, like essentially how to brand myself in a recognizable way. And I feel like I didn't really honestly find that until and this sounds so, I feel like it sounds cliche, but I just kept making art. And I stopped worrying about how that art would be perceived so much and how it was going to perform when I posted it online and all those kinds of things that artists today stress about is like, how popular is this piece going to be that I poured, a week into. I think that honestly, when it comes to like growing as an artist, I think it comes down a lot to dedication. Yes, you do have to work on it a lot every day, hopefully, if you can manage it. But also not every single don't put the pressure on yourself that every single new thing you do is going to be the next amazing thing you do. Mm-hmm. You're going to have failures. You're going to mess up. You're going to make things you hate. You're going to waste time on a thing that you realize you hate at the end. But each new thing you make is going to make you better, and those mistakes will be totally worth it. And eventually all the stress that you have from making a new piece of art will kind of just fall away, and it'll just become kind of an automatic thing where it's just like time to make some new art. And it's great to get to that point where there's no longer any stress or anxiety involved with making that new thing.
Yeah, that's great. Good advice.
Thanks. It was a little rambly, but I hope
it's all good.
I guess my advice, so my advice is that there's no such thing as your last chance. There's no such thing as like your one opportunity. You'll have, in the course of your creative life as an artist or a writer or whatever you want to be, you will have so many opportunities for so many things that to stress out over one particular thing that happens to come your way is it's ridiculous. And I've started to learn that. I've started to, and it took some time to learn that too. And I think that's why, if I could go back and give myself this advice, I would. Because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about not making it, or not getting to the level of success or fulfillment that they see for themselves. And then when an opportunity comes that seems promising, and you jump at it and you don't get it, you resign and feel like that's never going to happen again. I cannot tell you how many times I had outrageous opportunities and I jumped at them and I tried to make them happen and they didn't. And I felt so heartbroken because I didn't think anything else like that would ever happen in my life. And if you keep trying, if you keep putting your foot forward and keep putting yourself in the situation where these opportunities present themselves, then more opportunities will present themselves. So yeah, there's no such thing as one last chance. There's no such thing as your only opportunity. You get a ton of them. I promise.
That was very good.
Thank you.
That was very good. I always like to end my interviews with the same question. And that question is, who is somebody that you would recommend that I could realistically interview for this podcast that would have some interesting stories or lessons to talk about?
I would recommend Steens, Christina Stewart.
Okay.
She's the artist of Archival Quality. She was an editor at Lionforge for a while. She is super talented and knows so much about both writing and art.
She's incredible. She is a game changer. She's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, she's great. I love her. Yeah, I recommend Steens.
I recommend 2 people, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I'm going to recommend Emily Pearson. I think she's an incredible artist. She's shockingly young for the amount of work that she's already... she's like young and talented and everything that everyone wants to be. And she's doing bonding with me, and I would love to hear her do a podcast with you. And also Nadia Shamus, who we're both working with. And she's got the graphic novel coming out in a couple years or so. And she's an incredible person. She comes from a really, 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 really interesting perspective. And I think she offers something to the comics community that is really valuable. Yeah, I love both of those people. I love all 3 of these people, actually. Steens, Emily, and Nadia. They're great. And I hope they continue to kind of flourish in their creative fields, which is doing comics.
Yeah, those sound like all good recommendations. I actually already interviewed Emily, so that's already in the can right now.
Cool. I'll have to listen to that episode.
Right. And and I already do. I follow Nadia and Steens online, so yeah, I'm very familiar with both of them also. So yeah, those are great recommendations.
Awesome. Well, happy to help.
Definitely. Okay. Before we get out of here, where can people go online to get more information about what both you working on and any of the comic books that are available? And just plug yourself.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Lisa_Sterle. That'll be the most easy place to access when I'm releasing new products or new comics, new things. I'm Lisa Sterle on Instagram, and if you go to my website, lisasterle.com, I also have a mailing list that you can sign up for. And that's about it.
Yeah, you can go to my website, MatthewErman.com. That's where you're going to find all the good, juicy bits of information. You can also follow me on Twitter at Matthew Erman for all those good, juicy bits of information that I produce. And I don't really use Instagram, but you can follow me on Instagram if you can find me.
You can put your handle?
I do not know my Instagram handle.
Okay. Well, good luck then.
And you can also you could probably just Google me and find out where I live, to be totally honest.
No, why? Stop.
Yeah, I don't know if there's many Matthew Ermans out there, so
there's a few. I actually have a dream to recruit all of the Matthew Ermans that I can find and have us write a book together.
So you could have it by Matthew Ermans?
By
plural?
Matthew Ermans, plural. That's I'll see if my agent wants that idea. I'm sure he will not. So
what are you talking about? He'll definitely just grab onto that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Working with one Matthew Erman, I'm sure, is enough.
All right, Matthew and Lisa, it's been great talking with you. Like I said, I'm big fans of both your works, so good luck with everything.
Dude, thank you so much for the support. It was a pleasure to chat with you, and I'm so grateful that you took the opportunity to chat with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. This has been great. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
All right, that was my interview with Lisa Sterle and Matthew Erman. Links will be in the show notes for this episode at freshasthepodcast.com, where you can follow them both and check out all the upcoming things that they have in the pipeline. All right, thank you for listening once again. Goodbye and good night.
Fresh is the word.